Sir, you have been muted.
Because they have also authority to do that. Okay, so we worked on writing reports, general report, progress report, and we worked on writing research article 2. Now we have to deal with just the two remaining things: writing proposal, where we will be discussing on writing general proposal, technical proposal, and project proposal. And next one is some texts, means reading comprehension. I already told you we have some texts. We will be going through these texts. From the text, you will be asked 3 questions, and you will be answering 2 among the 3. So today, let's complete this reading portion. So to complete this reading portion, I am taking you to this part today. This is some texts. These are stories, essay with contextual questions. Some text with contextual questions means I am taking you to reading comprehension today. Okay, so let me take you to that part. Then in our next class, we will be dealing with writing proposal, because I want to complete this reading portion today. So there are some texts that we should deal with in this course. These are Knowledge and Wisdom, The Mother of a Traitor, Of Studies, Use and Misuse of Science, What Einstein Did, How Much Land Does a Man Need? So you can find 12-13 texts in your textbook, 12-13 texts, but these texts are for the students of computer engineering, electronics engineering, for you civil engineering and all. These 6 are common texts from where you will be asked questions. So these 6 texts are common texts. From these 6 texts, you will be asked 3 questions, because these texts are for the students of BME. You should know that. So first text is Knowledge and Wisdom, Bernard Russell. Then Mother of a Traitor, Maxim Gorky. Of Studies, Francis Bacon. Use and Misuse of Science is also there. What Einstein Did, How Much Land Does a Man Need? These are different texts. So you can deal with some of the texts, even if I do not facilitate on the text, like what Einstein did and use and misuse of science. You can write answers if the questions are asked from these 2 texts. But let's discuss on each and every text very seriously. So first text is Knowledge and Wisdom. Let me talk about the text, Knowledge and Wisdom. Okay, so Knowledge and Wisdom is written by Bernard Russell. And from this text, most of the time, you are asked some questions. First, how Bernard Russell differentiates between knowledge and wisdom, explain. This will be the question. How Bernard Russell differentiates between knowledge and wisdom, explain. First question. Second question can be define sense of proportion. Define sense of proportion. Third question can be knowledge without wisdom is meaningless. Explain this statement in reference to the essay by Bernard Russell. So these will be the question. Difference between knowledge and wisdom. What do you mean by sense of proportion? Knowledge without wisdom is meaningless. Explain this statement in reference to the essay by Bernard Russell. These three questions uh, are most probable to be asked in the exam, right? So let's discuss what is in the text. In this text, Knowledge and Wisdom, Bernard Russell basically focuses on the differences between knowledge and wisdom. Bernard Russell focuses on the differences between knowledge and wisdom. He differentiates between these two terms, knowledge and wisdom. So what Bernard Russell says is knowledge and wisdom are interrelated, but these are different things, not same thing, but interrelated. Knowledge and wisdom are interrelated, but different things. According to Bernard Russell, knowledge means it's just a collection of facts and data. Knowledge means collection of facts and data that we acquire through reading or memorization or through our experience. So it is just facts knowing. Knowledge means you know the facts, you know the data, you know what and why. So knowing just what and why is taken as your knowledge. So Bernard Russell argues that knowledge is just collection of data and facts where we know about what is and why that is. No more than that. So here you can see knowledge means knowing about things and the causes of things. Knowledge is the accumulation of facts and data that you have learned about or experienced. So it is just the process of accumulation of facts and data that we have learned, experienced, that we have memorized. And knowledge is something that we acquire through effort. When you read books, you get knowledge. When you just travel different places, you get some knowledge. Right? So knowledge is just acquisition of facts and data. So a knowledgeable person knows about what and how. Knowledgeable person knows just what and how. That means knowledgeable knows not only fire is hot, but also why the fire is hot. So knowledgeable knows that the fire is hot. And what is the reason of that hotness? He knows that too. He knows that, or knowledgeable person knows that the fire is hot. And why that fire is hot? He knows these two things. But he cannot utilize that hotness of the fire to invent certain things. He just knows fire is hot, and due to these things the fire is hot. That's enough for the knowledgeable person. But wisdom is different thing. This wisdom is taken as the highest state of consciousness. So this wisdom is defined as the practical application and use of the knowledge to create value. So you have a knowledge. When you use that knowledge to create utmost benefit for the human beings, that is your wisdom. So if you can utilize the hotness of the fire to solve certain problems, to create something new, that is taken as wisdom. So wisdom is basically the ability to detect which aspect of your knowledge is true and authentic. And it is also ability to use your knowledge for the utmost benefit. Not only knowing things is enough. You should be able to use your knowledge for the utmost benefit of the humanity. That is what wisdom is all about. Wise people utilize their knowledge to create value. They always take into consideration which aspect of their knowledge true, which aspect of their knowledge is not. So this is the difference between knowledge. Knowledge is gained through memorization, but wisdom is gained through practice. Most of the time it is the highest state of consciousness, ability to come up with unique ideas. This is taken as wisdom. Look, just knowledgeable person knows that the fire is hot and these are the reasons of this hotness. But wise person will employ that knowledge not only for his own benefit but also for the benefit of others. Wise person uses fire to develop a cleaner burning, more fuel efficient automobile. Look, means wise person utilize the knowledge for the utmost benefit. He can create or she can create so many things with the help of something he has learned. So hence, look, wisdom is the ability to detect and judge which aspects of that knowledge are true, right, lasting and applicable to our life. So wisdom is the ability to detect which aspect of the knowledge is true, right, and lasting. So if you don't have wisdom, you cannot utilize your knowledge, and you even cannot decide which aspect of your knowledge is true, right, and long lasting, as well as which aspect of your knowledge is applicable to your life. So what people believe is that knowledge without wisdom is always destructive. Knowledge without wisdom is destructive. To guide your knowledge, you must have wisdom. Otherwise, that knowledge can be destructive. That knowledge can ruin your life. So, sense of proportion, I will define the term later. Sense of proportion is necessary for the wise people. Sense of proportion is necessary for wise people. So if you want to be wise, you must possess the sense of proportion. I will define the term sense of proportion later. So this wisdom is the ability to apply that knowledge to the greater scheme of life. It is about knowing the reason or meaning about why something is and what it means to our life. So if you talk about the knowledge, that means just what something is and why something is. But wisdom means why something is and what it means to our life. This is the difference between knowledge and wisdom. The main difference is knowledge is accumulation of facts, but wisdom is the ability to use our knowledge for the utmost benefit. So to be wise, sense of proportion is necessary. Here I have, beautifully just written the summaries of all the text. If you want to read, yes, you must read. You once again go through the summaries. So Russell makes the same point in his essay. What basically Russell talks about. Here I have listed out all the things. And one important thing here is, according to Russell, there are several factors that contributes to wisdom. So there are several factors that contributes to wisdom. These are a sense of proportion. First factor that contributes to wisdom is a sense of proportion. So this sense of proportion means it is the capacity of a person to take into account all the important factors in a problem and to attach due weight to each. So sense of proportion basically means ability to take into consideration both positive and negative aspect of your action. This is sense of proportion. Ability to take into consideration both positive and negative aspects, positive and negative consequences of your action is sense of proportion. For example, you have a knowledge to invent atom bomb, but as a knowledgeable person, what you will be doing? You will just invent atom bomb and you will hand it over certain fool guy. Then what happens? Your creation, your knowledge can be destructive for thousands, lakhs of people. If you hand over that atom bomb to or in the hand of the fool, you should not do that. Yes, invent atom bomb, but be careful about where to place that. Whether to place that in the hands of some fool or in the hand of some, very civilized guy. Where to use that? Whether to,
Excuse me, sir.
yes, go on.
Sir, you told that sense of proportion is the ability of a person to embrace both right and wrong. Is it?
Yes, ability, yes, ability
What
of a person.
exactly was the definition, sir?
Yes, a sense of proportion means it is the capacity of a person to take into consideration all aspects of your action to solve the problem. It is the ability, so sense of proportion, listen once again, sense of proportion is the ability to take into consideration all the important factors, all the aspects of your action when you plan to solve any problem. So when you solve the problem, you should not focus on only solving the problem. You should also think about what happens when you go for certain action. For example, there is a high death rate in the city, high death rate or high child mortality rate somewhere. So as a knowledgeable person, what you can do is you can just invent medicine so that you can lower the death rate. Right? As a knowledgeable person, you can just invent medicine to lower the death rate. That's fine. But wise person does not only invent the medicine to lower the death rate. He or she also thinks about how standard of life can be maintained. Only lowering death rate will not be enough. Lowering death rate only will not be beneficial for the human beings. As a wise guy, you also should think about how, standard of life can be maintained. Because if death rate will be lowered, the population will be increased in the future. So you should think about how standard life or how the standard of the life can be maintained as well as this death rate can be lowered. That is what sense of proportion means. Means ability to take into consideration all the aspects of your action. So if you act to solve a certain problem, but what happens when you act in that way? That is sense of proportion. Yes, if you take into consideration both aspects of your action, that is taken as sense of proportion. Then comparativeness. Next factor that contributes to wisdom is comparativeness. So this comparativeness is the ability to bring together a wide range of concepts and to see how they all fit together to create utmost value. This comparative means if you want to solve any problem, then you may come up with hundreds of ideas. So this comparativeness is the ability to take ideas together, wide range of ideas together to solve a certain problem and to create utmost value. It is the ability to select different ideas to solve the problem, solve the existing problem. So another one is depth feeling. So depth feeling. Depth feeling means, you know, you should have some kind of love, some kind of pity, for the people. If you are just knowledgeable, you don't think about the people. But if you have depth feeling, if you have love, the feeling of kindness, feeling of pity, then what you do? You take into consideration each and every issue seriously. You think almost about 100 times before inventing atom bomb, because you think about the humanity, you think about the probable destruction that your creation can create in the future. So depth feeling is necessary. We must have a feeling. Wise person must have feeling of love, feeling of kindness, feeling of pity, so that he or she will be careful about each and everything before he acts. These are the things. So sense of proportion, comparativeness, and depth feeling, these are three factors that contributes to wisdom. So knowledge is just collection of facts and data, but wisdom is the ability to take into consideration aspects of your knowledge and making a choice between them. This is knowledge and wisdom. This is all about knowledge and wisdom. So here I have written a paragraph differentiating between knowledge and wisdom for your convenience. Differentiate between knowledge and wisdom. This can be the question in the exam too. Be careful. Knowledge and wisdom are interrelated but different things. According to Russell, knowledge is defined as the acquisition of data and information, while wisdom is defined as the practical application and use of the knowledge to create value. Knowledge is the accumulation of facts and data that you have learned about or experienced. It is being aware about something and having information. Knowledge is really about facts and ideas that we acquire through study, research, observation, or experience. Wisdom is the ability to detect and judge. Look, wisdom is the ability to detect and judge which aspect of that knowledge are true, right, lasting, and applicable to our life. It is the ability to apply that knowledge to the greater scheme of life. It is about knowing the reason or meaning about why something is and what it means to our life. Wisdom can be gained through learning and practical experience, not only through memorization. A sense of proportion is very necessary for wise person or wisdom. Now, here I have defined the term. What do you mean by sense of proportion? What is sense of proportion? Ability. So a sense of proportion means the capacity to consider all the important factors equally in a problem and to give due importance to each. So it is the ability to consider all the important factors in a problem and to give due importance to each. That means there is a problem, you want to solve the problem. Knowledgeable person only solves the problem without caring about other aspects. But as a wise person, what you do is you solve the problem as well as you become careful about other aspects. For example, if you want to take revenge with your enemy, then as a knowledgeable person, what you just do is you just, for example, invent atom bomb. You just use that, explode that, and take the life of your enemy. That's all. You don't become careful about the destruction created by your work, your act. You just take revenge the way you can without caring about environment, without caring about innocent people, anything. But wise person does not do that. Wise person takes the revenge, but without creating mass destruction. Was invent atom bomb, but use it properly. Unwise, just knowledgeable, invent atom bomb, place it in the hands of who, and creates destruction in the world. So sense of proportion is this. I presented an example of inventing medicine to lower the death rate. Lowering the death rate is not enough. As a wise person, you should think about how standard of life can be maintained. So you can take an example of inventing elixir. Elixir. Elixir is this. You know the meaning. What you call it in Nepalese amrit. If you drink that, you never die. So is this inventing elixir or going for that elixir is good? No. Because what happens when nobody dies in the world? Wise person must think about that. Inventing something is not enough. Becoming aware about its side effects is the most important thing. Don't invent the medicine when people use that, they never die. What happens when people never die? You should think about that too. So, a sense of proportion means the capacity to consider all the important factors equally in a problem and to give due importance to each. For example, if someone is engaged in research in scientific medicine, but he has no time to consider its outside effects, he succeeds in lowering the infant death rate everywhere in the world. But its indirect effect is that it lowers the standard of life. Just I have written example, you can go through this. Another example is that someone studies the composition of the atom, and incidentally, if he places it in the hands of the insane, it could be misused by him to destroy the world. So you should be careful about that. These two examples, you will read these things later. So this is all about knowledge and wisdom. You once again go through this file. I will upload this file and you will be clear about the difference between knowledge and wisdom. Okay. Now let me take you to another text that is of studies. That is of studies by Francis Bacon. Of studies by Francis Bacon. So from this text, you may be asked 2-3 questions. The most important question is, what are the 3 purposes of reading books? And there will be one statement like, some books are to be chewed, some books are to be tested, and some books are to be swallowed. Explain this statement in reference with the text of studies by Francis Bacon. So these will be the questions. Let's discuss on what Francis Bacon focuses on. So according to Francis Bacon, we study because of 3 reasons. We study because of 3 reasons. First, to maintain our social status. We study to maintain our social status. According to Francis Bacon, we study or people study to maintain their social status. Because what you study determines your social status. You get value in the society according to your field of study. First. Second one is, people study because they want to get entertained. Second one. Third one is, People study for knowledge. Let's discuss on the first one. People study because to maintain the social status. Yes. For example, you are going for engineering. You have different status. Students going for other, degrees will have different status in the society. Students who are just, pursuing their BSc or BCom, these things, will have different status in the society. Students of medicine will have different status in the society. So people go for different courses. People study to maintain social status, right? So your position is determined in the society according to what you have studied. Whether you are students of engineering, whether you are a student of medicine, whether you are students of business studies or whatever. So as our study determines our social status, so we go for different courses. First thing that is taken as study works as an ornament. Study works as an ornament. Means it makes you look beautiful. And this study determines your social status as well. Second one is people study because they want to get entertained. You know that. You read different, you study different, just novels. You watch different movies. You listen to different songs because you want to get entertained. You want some pleasure. Third one is people study to get knowledge. I don't think I should define it. You study to be knowledgeable, to get some knowledge related to certain field. So there are three reasons. But Bacon puts this getting knowledge at the end. First, he gives priority to that studying for maintaining social status. Second, for entertainment. Third, for knowledge. So Bacon says that few people only just read or study to get knowledge. What we find in our society is that most people go for different courses. Most people study because they want to maintain social status rather than achieving some knowledge. Second one is people study because they want entertainment, not knowledge. So he talks about getting knowledge at the end. Yes, people study to get knowledge, but it is at the end. This is the thing. So here I have written Bacon proposes that study may be done for three purposes. Firstly, it may be done for our own entertainment or just to get pleasure, such as reading books of favorite author, country, scene, etc. Secondly, it may be done just for ornament. It means just to impress other or bring attention in hope of gaining our friends' admiration. Yes, that happens. If you are going for certain courses, you just bring attention. You get friends' admiration. And lastly, it may be done to gain competency and proficiency. Yes, you study to get knowledge as well. But whenever you read, you don't read each and every books in the same way. This is what Francis Bacon says. You study different books, you read different books, you watch movies differently. You don't give equal time to each and every text that you read. You read different text differently. He talks about three ways of reading books, or he talks about three types of books. First, Some books are to be tested. Some books are to be chewed. Some books are to be swallowed. I have written these things in the second paragraph. Study has several benefits and effects. It provides us valuable knowledge, reading and learning experiences, logical ideas, and creative skills. It develops our discourse intelligence capacity. Reading makes us full, conference makes us ready man, and writing makes us exact. So reading, we become just knowledgeable when we read. We become ready when we present, and we become exact when we write. Look, reading makes us full. When we read, we get some kind of knowledge. Then when we present, we become ready. And when we write, it makes us exact. Therefore, these reading, writing, and learning must go together. And according to Francis Bacon, our reading must be balanced with our experience. If we don't balance our reading with our experience, we cannot grasp the ideas effectively and efficiently. Yes, this is what the case with every one of us. For example, if you are watching any movie and if you have same kind of experience in your life, you understand the movie better. Otherwise, you do not. If you relate that movie with your personal experiences, you will never forget that. Some people really, just shed tears when they watch movies because they just relate that the story of the movie with their personal experiences. So when you relate the story of the movie with your personal experiences, it makes you think a lot, and then you said tears. So just relating whatever you read with your personal experience is greatest thing. This is what Francis Bacon says. So here Francis Bacon talks about what different kinds of text does, what mathematics does, what philosophy does, what creative writing does. These things are here. The most important lines are there are some. Okay, Bacon suggests basically three kinds of books. They are studied differently. Bacon talks about three kinds of books that are studied differently. There are some books which are to be tested, some books which are to be tested. Read not wholly but in parts. Just we test them. We read some of the parts of the books, not whole book. For example, if you are reading a novel, then you don't read each and everything there. Sometimes what you do is you just read some parts and then you skip rest of the things. There are some books which are to be swallowed. There are some books which are to be swallowed. For example, when you read different newspaper articles, what you do is you just read abstract and you skip rest of the things. You read just parts. When you read newspapers, what you do is you focus on some specific information. You don't care about rest of the things. So some books are to be tested. Some books are to be swallowed. But there are some books which are to be chewed. Which are to be chewed means books that must be read with great care and attention. When you read your textbooks, what you do is you chew them. You just read each and everything. You become serious about each and everything, each and every sentence there in the book. But when you are reading novel, you don't care about so many things. You can skip things. When you are reading newspaper, you can just go to specific information without caring about rest of the things. So some books are to be tested, some books are to be swallowed, and some books are to be chewed. Books read with great care. So thus reading alone is not sufficient enough. It must be followed by learning, just as two sides of a coin to place the value of perfect study. So you don't read books just for entertainment, just for ornament. You read books to learn something. And your study works as social status and ornament for you. And whenever you read different types of books, you test some of the books, you swallow some of the books, and you chew some of the books. Okay, this is what the main idea presented in the text of studies by Francis Bacon. Okay, so today I just talked about Knowledge and Wisdom by Bernard Russell, and next text is Of Studies by Francis Bacon. These two texts, and you will surely be asked one question from these two texts. Okay, so I will upload this file for you. You just go through these things seriously. In our next class, we will be dealing with rest of the things, all these things, like the mother of a traitor, use and misuse of science, what Einstein did, how much land does a man need, and if we get enough time, we will be dealing with that proposal writing part as well. Today I just dealt with knowledge and wisdom, and next one is this Of Studies by Francis Bacon. I will upload this file for you right now. You just download it, go through it, so that you will get some more insights on this text as well as some other text as well. So here are rest of the things. Okay, so here we wrap up the class. Do you have any queries regarding the discussion? You can just put your queries.
So can I look at the Bacon's 3 types of books once again?
Oh, yeah, why not? Why not?
So just look.
Let me take you to that part. Why not?
Okay, sir.
So I should. Yes. So some books are to be chewed, some books are to be tested, and some books are to be swallowed. This is what Francis Bacon says. Let me take you to these lines. Bacon suggests basically 3 kinds of books studied differently. So here, books, you don't take these books as books. Each and every text taken as books here. Like when you watch movie, that movie is also text. When you listen to any song, that song is also text for you. Textbooks are text. Articles, texts. Stories, texts. Right? So Bacon suggests basically 3 kinds of books studied differently. So there are some books which are to be tested. There are some books which are to be tested. Means when you read novels, you just test them. Means you read some of the parts. You can skip some of the parts. It is not necessary that when you read novel, you should read each and everything there. No. Actually, reading book depends on your purpose. Most important thing you should remember. The method you use to read books depends on why you are reading the book. Why you are reading the book. So, reading book depends on your purpose, or using these different techniques of reading books depends on your purpose of reading book. Why you are reading the book. For example, if you are reading a novel for entertainment at that moment, you can just skip some of the parts. You can read some of the parts that you find more interesting or quite interesting for you. So some books are to be tested. We read some parts, not a whole. We don't read whole book. We don't read each and everything. Because you are reading that novel for entertainment. But if you are writing a paper on the book, at that moment, you chew that book. So though there are different types of books that we read differently, most of the time, reading book depends on our purpose. Why we are reading the book. So first, some books are to be tested. We read books not in a whole, but in parts. First. Second, there are some books which are to be shallowed. We read hurriedly. For example, when you just go through some research articles, at that moment, you just look at the specific information there, because you want to use some ideas from the text and you look at the specific information. You don't bother reading all each and everything there. You hurriedly go through the article. Sometimes you just read abstractly, skip rest of the thing. When you read newspapers, what you do is, yes, current news this, economic this, sports this. Though you read everything there, but very hurriedly. You swallow that. And there are some books which are to be chewed. Means you read each and everything. You become serious about each and every statement there in some of the books. Like your textbooks. You read almost everything that is in your textbooks. So some books are to be tested. Some books are to be chewed. Some books are to be swallowed. But you reading books most of the time depends on our purpose. Why we are reading text. If we are just reading different texts or books for our entertainment, at that moment you can just read them in parts, or we can just swallow them. But if we are reading book to grasp each and everything given in the book and to make preparation for the exam, at that moment we should chew the book. Read each and every part, each and every sentence. Even we should be careful about weight. This is what Francis Bacon says here.
Okay, sir, got it.
Okay. Okay, any additional queries? Fine.
No, sir.
Okay, fine. If you don't have
There are
any
none,
queries,
sir.
yes. So okay, I will upload this file for you. You go through this file, and in our next class we will be discussing on the rest of the text. Right? Okay. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much. It's bad reason almost.
Thank you,